Have you ever looked at your bank account, seen a number you should be happy with, but instead you just feel completely broke? It's this really weird, confusing gap, right, between what the numbers on the screen are telling you and what your gut is just screaming. Well, today we're going to take a look in the money mirror and figure out why that reflection feels so distorted.
All right, let's just paint a quick picture. Imagine you've got a steady job, you've been responsible, you've been saving, and you've got $20,000 sitting in the bank. I mean, objectively, by pretty much any standard, you're doing okay. You're actually in a really good spot. And yet, there's that feeling, isn't there? That little pit in your stomach every time you think about a big purchase, or just this constant sense that you're falling behind. So what's going on? Why does a perfectly healthy bank balance feel like you're one paycheck away from total disaster?
Well, listen, if this is you, you are so far from alone, it's not even funny. Just look at these numbers. This feeling is everywhere. A recent study found that a whopping 43% of Gen Z and 41% of millennials feel like they're financially behind. This is not some personal failure. It's basically a generational epidemic.
So, there's actually a name for this feeling. A name for that crack in your money mirror. And just being able to name it is the very first step to actually fixing it. It's called financial dysmorphia. And at its core, it's just a total mismatch between the reality of your finances and your feelings about your finances. Your bank statement is saying one thing, but your brain is telling you a completely different, way scarier story.
And what's so fascinating is how this anxiety can push people in two totally opposite directions. So on one side, you've got what's called the scarcity trap. This is when you have money, but you're absolutely terrified to spend any of it. You feel this intense guilt over buying, even a $5 coffee. But then, on the other side, there's the inflation mirror. This is when you feel so far behind that you actually overspend on fancy stuff just to feel like you're keeping up. Two different paths, but they're both driven by that exact same distorted perception.
So how do you know if this is you? Well, here are 3 quick red flags to look out for. First, net worth obsession. Are you constantly, compulsively checking your banking or investment apps all day long? Second, what I call the broke identity. Do you tell people you're struggling even though you're sitting on a perfectly healthy 6-month emergency fund? And third, purchasing paralysis. When you spend hours, literally hours, agonizing over a tiny $30 purchase, just terrified you're going to make the wrong move.
Okay, so the big question is, why now? Why does it feel like this anxiety is hitting a fever pitch right at this moment? Let's dig into some of the forces in our world today that are literally warping how we see our own money.
You guessed it. The biggest culprit is social media. I mean, think about it. Keeping up with the Joneses used to be about your neighbor's new lawnmower. Now, the Joneses are global influencers with private jets. Their lives are filtered, curated, and then pushed to you by an algorithm that is literally perfected to show you exactly what you desire but can't afford.
Then you've got just general confusion around economic policy, right? When tax laws shift or there are big economic changes like in 2025, it can create this weird disconnect. You might see a change in your paycheck, but then you realize it doesn't actually go as far as you thought it would. It just adds another layer of anxiety and confusion to everything.
And this last piece of the puzzle is huge. It's something called economic gaslighting. You turn on the news and you hear that the economy is booming. Everything's great. But then you go to the grocery store and a simple sandwich costs $14. When the official story just doesn't line up with your day-to-day reality, it's so easy to start thinking, well, I must be the one who's doing something wrong.
Okay, so that's the problem. It's real, it's widespread, and it feels pretty bad. But here's the good news. You can absolutely fix your money mirror. You can recalibrate. So let's walk through a simple 4-step reality check.
The whole key here is to ground yourself in your reality, not some distorted perception. So first, check your percentile. Stop comparing yourself to influencers and start looking at the median income for your age and your area. It gives you a realistic benchmark. Second, mute your triggers. Seriously, if an account on social media makes you feel bad about your finances, just unfollow. It's that simple. Third, define enough. You are always going to feel behind if you don't have a finish line. Decide what enough looks like for you right now, this month. And finally, number 4, my favorite, create a joy budget. Set aside a little bit of money, maybe 10%, that is purely for guilt-free spending. This starts to retrain your brain to see money as a tool for living, not just some score you have to hoard.
Ultimately, getting over this is about a huge shift in your mindset. It's about changing the entire game you're playing with your money, from one of scorekeeping to one of, actually living.
And I want you to really remember this. Money is a tool. That's it. It's a tool to help you build a life that you want. It is not, and never will be, a measure of your worth as a person. Your net worth is not your self-worth.
So, I'll leave you with this question, and I want you to really think about it. Forget the algorithms, forget the influencers, forget what everyone else is doing. What does enough actually look like for you? Because defining that for yourself is the real first step to finding financial peace.